I'm gonna be a dad, and oh boy, I'm excited, nervous, but mostly excited. And I wanted to share with you guys some of the reasons for excitement, outside of the fact that my wife and I are having a child, our first child, and simply put, the excitement of becoming parents is more than I think we can really put into or do justice by speaking. It's really something that we feel intuitively. And so here we are. Let's dive into it. I want to talk. All right, so becoming a dad is something that I have been thinking about and kind of tossing around in my mind for years now. I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a father someday, and I wanted to have kids of my own. And I had good role models for the most part, people in my life who I recognized early valued having children in their lives and having children with someone they loved and had actually chosen. So first off, my wife and I, for you, if you're new to the channel, we have been together for quite a while, and we talked early on about wanting to have kids someday, and not knowing when, but also being open to it, and both knowing for a fact that we wanted to be parents together. So yeah, fast forward and we get married and we decide that we're open to it. Why not? And we were kind of gifted this opportunity to be parents at a relatively speaking young age. But I think being a parent at a younger age is an advantage, because as the child ages, you don't have to worry quite as much about the natural slowing down that occurs as we age anyway. So just, depends on your model of parenting. And so to everybody out there who watches this video, I would encourage you, as I am not yet a parent, but have been thinking about being a parent, and I imagine that many people who do this, who actually want to be a parent, blanking on the word, but everybody who is not in this situation by accident, at least, has some opportunity to ponder and hopefully focus on how they can be a good parent, what that means to them. And so everybody forms a different idea, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And I encourage you to continue forming ideas even after you have become a parent. It isn't simply over and done with. You have a blank canvas that you are responsible for shaping and supporting and helping to become someone who you are proud of as a parent, but also somebody who has the courage and the audacity and the strength and the steadiness to go out into the world and make something out of their energy, make something out of their lives. So that's a big undertaking, and I have felt the weight of what that really is, the responsibility for a little life. And although as a newborn, and especially now, just being that Meg is pregnant, we don't really have to think about it. But having a newborn will be a big adjustment for both of us, of course. And then as time passes and baby grows and begins to learn and evolve and shape and become more of a mobile little human, the dogs are going crazy. Of course, that is a huge weight on the shoulders of the parents. And I think parenting, to a large degree, is the most challenging thing, undertaking, journey that you as a person may ever walk. But it's also the most rewarding. And I've been lucky and fortunate enough to see siblings, other family members and friends who I consider to be real valuable role models in my life and my wife's life, be amazing parents. And no, you don't have to look very far to observe people parenting. That's one of the benefits of living in the modern world. We get to see, we get the luxury of observation. And that's a power that we all have, that we're all capable of using. So, becoming a father, to me, I want to touch on this because I think there are some key things that have been on my mind at this stage that I'm sure will continue to evolve, but my goal is really to just capture the phases that I go through. So, I mean, this channel largely has to do with me at this point, but I hope to bring in my wife and the baby and more people, more of my network onto the channel and to get them engaged so that we're talking about more and we're doing more and we're bringing in more perspective. So for now, as a father, someone soon to become a father, things on my mind include, number one, my relationship with my wife. And this is weighed heavy on me because I'm someone who tends to be introspective. My behaviors at this point, as I understand, tend to trend internal, meaning that it is most common for me to do my thinking and do my speaking and do my resolving and my sort of turning through ideas and thoughts internally. I carry a lot inside rather than to just put it out into the world. And it's one way of thinking that has its that has its price, basically. It isn't always a good way to be. And we've had our fair share of challenges in facing our own internal tendencies, or our own tendencies as people, my wife and I. And from my perspective, we have always been able to solve small problems by what's the term? Like, little by little, working our way from small to generally a bigger perspective. Because in the heat of the moment, in the weight of the moment, you almost always feel overcome with the emotion of the whatever, the resistance, the thing that isn't lining up, the problem that you're facing. And as you sort of step back from the moment, remind yourself that you are not the problem, but you are the observer of the problem, the witness of the problem. And in doing so, you're able to kind of let go some of the tension enough that the conscious mind can step in and say either something that can stabilize that bit of communication, steering it away from emotional tendencies and emotional charged sort of tension, and into a more peaceful, respectful, supportive, and loving kind space where you can each speak and those ideas are held at the same weight and at the same speed and the same time and place and space, so that you can see each other rather than simply try and push the ideas onto the other. Now, implement a newborn, right? Like, not implement, but insert newborn baby, and life changes dramatically. I'm aware that this is going to happen. And there is no real amount of preparation that can make it perfect, that can make the transition just smooth and effortless. And that's not what we are after. However, the truth of the matter for me at this stage, because of course my wife is pregnant and growing our baby, for me, I dig my head and dive into literature and try and educate myself. And I'm aware that even saying that it is education is kind of like dubbing it as something that is justified in good and doing the right thing. And it's simply not always the case. Sometimes it's a selfish desire to just know, to try and be at a superior understanding of ideas, and that's not always a good place to be. So it's led us to have new challenges in our relationship as the pregnancy progresses, and as we consider what life is going to be like as parents with a newborn, a life to look out for, the responsibility of being there for that life and supporting that person from day one, from the moment that they enter this world. And then considering all of the qualities of the parents that we want to be, and how we will go about being those people, and adjusting who we are now, contrasted with who we want to be as parents, and where those things will meet in the middle, right? And then how we will be as a whole family unit, individuals that are still a married couple, still people who at the very first stage of being and becoming, we were simply young people who fell in love with each other, who decided that life would be better together than apart, and to both preserve but also evolve that connection into a flourishing sense of togetherness and wholeness that includes being parents. So, to circle back around, the thing that is weighing heaviest on me right now is this next phase in our relationship, and how we will evolve into that as a couple, as a married couple, first and foremost, and as parents, secondly, because it's a necessity. We both feel committed to making the process sustainable, and, we have never considered anything outside of how can we move forward together as a unit towards the values that we have decided that we share, that we do share. They're unspoken, but they are the truth, the overarching truth. We both want in life to be certain places at certain times. We both simply want to evolve forward together, and there is no other option. This is what the the commitment of marriage is to us. So, at least for now, in a brief description, those are some of the thoughts running through my head as becoming a father gets closer and closer. And I have good days and I have bad days, or simply overwhelmed days. Days where the ideas are too much to bear, where the uncertainty just seems so overwhelming that I become quiet, and that I cannot seem to voice my true, authentic, expression of the moment. Because it's really not always pretty at all. It's far from it. And I inhibit the freeing or the letting go portion by holding on to it as if it's something that I must process in the moment internally without help from the outside or from even my wife many times. And so here we are. We're always evolving, and I know that there are areas that, as a person, as a young man, and as someone becoming a father who's also a husband, and who also has dreams and goals and objectives and projects in my own life, that this is important. Like, this is the foremost thing. Self-development. Life evolves to the level of self-development, and this is my belief. It's something that we both share. When life around you doesn't what's the term? When life seems to resist you and pull you in the opposite direction, rather than resist it, there is two things going on. There's an indication of a dissonance in your development. Something that you haven't been able to either fully process, or something that you haven't been able to understand to the extent that you can, because understanding is only as good as your ability to let the happening happen, to let it be. And this is a theme that I have, I think, begun to discover, in that knowing more generally means that you need to do less. The knowing more often leads to the belief that you can have more control, when in fact the opposite is true. Knowing more has a tendency to give you faux control over phenomenon that you need to let unfold. And so the second thing is that you have to let it go. You have to open your heart rather than close your heart. You have to allow the consciousness, or you have to allow the witness to witness, and you have to stop identifying with the resistance itself, but instead just observe the resistance. Because you are not the resistance. You are not the idea. You are not the singular failure or the singular behavior. You are not the depression. You are not the happiness. You are not the energy, and you are not the sadness. So you are just an observer. This is the way. You are just an observer. So without diving too deep down that rabbit hole, let's wrap the video up, because talking about becoming a father is It's a subject that requires a lot of patience, I think, and I'm learning to have patience with myself, and all of the ideas that I use as points of, or launching points for education, they don't always become something worth my while. The opportunity cost of a deep dive on something, into an idea, learning, is that you often miss the subtle lessons that are present in observing what is happening right in front of you. You're trying to preemptively understand the future before it happens, and prep, and prepare, educate, understand, and know, so that when you get there, you'll be ready. In the meantime, though, you miss the unfolding of the lesson in front of you that is, as I've learned it, oftentimes the most perfectly timed lesson that you could be receiving, that you could be learning. I'll give you an example. So Meg is about 6 months pregnant, and her body's changing. We are evolving, as I said, and we are looking into the future and trying to understand what our choices will be for birth, for postpartum, and for the first year, really, of life, of being parents. And we're realizing that the beauty of simply being where we are now is actually much more fulfilling to observe. That it's like, it's very easy to become overstressed and over anxious about the uncertainty in the future, but the grounding moment exists now, where we can just both be observers of the beautiful unfolding that is pregnancy itself, that is watching a body change and adapt to a growing human. And that is it's the magic of nature itself. It's what we've evolved to be. So the lessons in that are countless, and they're simple, and they're very rich if you are open to receiving and acknowledging them. So yeah, let's quit the video there, and we can pick this up another time. But I want to wrap it up by saying congratulations to anybody else watching this video who is becoming a father soon, or is a new father already. I'm so excited. I am so unbelievably excited to be a dad. This is something that has been in my head and in my body for years and years and years. And people have told me that my level of maturity or development is slightly beyond my age. And I really don't know if that's true, because, I feel like if you're willing to acknowledge what you are in your simple yet complex being as a human, you'll know that there is no perfect moment to become a father, there is no perfect moment to become a parent, but when that moment arises, you have the opportunity to step into it with all of your life force and your energy. And that accepting and running towards the thing that is uncertain and scary is the only way to love it, to win at it. to be fantastic at it, because the process of failing forward is the only way to learn. The only way. So congratulations, and yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please drop a like below, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon for future videos, and you will be seeing more of me on this channel, of course, with new ideas about health, wealth, and happiness. Always health, wealth, and happiness. Sharing big ideas with you guys, confronting uncomfortable shit, and loving it, learning to love it. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care.